Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of what is actually going to be a crossover episode of Building a Life and Business Together and the Cliff Ravenscraft Show. I am Cliff Ravenscraft, and on today, right here with me, is my lovely wife and business partner, or my partner not only in life, but also business, Stephanie Ravenscraft.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
Today we're going to be talking about a couple that dreams together, grows together. What are your thoughts on the title?
I really like the title because I've said many times in the past, if you're not growing together, you're growing away from each other. You're growing towards isolation. And so the whole concept of dreaming and wanting change and wanting to grow, I love it.
There's something about shared vision. And it's not necessarily that our dreams have to be in perfect alignment. I have personal dreams.
I have personal dreams.
But we have dreams that we share together. And we've shared in, I think it was episode 1 or 2, a conversation that we had with Jim Munchback about some personal dreams that you had that were not on my list. And quite frankly, were quite intimidating to me.
When I talk about my dreams, Cliff just sees dollar signs.
That's exactly it. And not that my dreams don't come with dollar signs as well. It's just like, well, those are my things. Those are things that I want. I don't understand why. Yeah. Anyway, it's a whole double standard that I am obviously or painfully or absolutely
all of the above.
I'm aware of. So anyway, it is what it is, and we're aware of it. But yeah, Stephanie, we have developed somewhat of a significant amount of brand equity around the idea of dreams. How did that come about? Do you recall?
No. Okay, so for me, for what I do recall, I remember you went to a conference in the end of 2017. Well, first off, in 2016, we went to UPW, Unleash the Power Within with Tony Robbins. And that is like this huge, grand event.
Right. And
like,
that we came out of that event.
So many people were there. And we came out of that event, not only changed ourselves, but Cliff was like, I want to do that. I want to do that. And
when she's saying I want to do that, it's not necessarily a stadium with tens of thousands of people, although there has obviously been that dream within me. But what the word that is, when I said I want to do that, I want to be able to be in front of an audience of people and radically alter the way that they see what is possible in their life. I want to help them reestablish the ability to dream big dreams and break free from any limiting belief that holds them back from moving towards their dreams. That's what I want to be able to do.
Yes. And so in the summer of 2016, you said, I want to do that. And then in, I guess maybe the fall of 2017, you went to a conference. I don't remember whose.
It was a couple of conferences. One was Ray Edwards, and another one was Jeff Goins. So
okay.
both of them at the same venue, same relative size, in Franklin, Tennessee, and
you came home and said, we're going to do that. Well, I think you said, I'm going to do that. And
well, speak about that for a second. So originally it was, this is what I want to do. And
well, yeah, because the whole thing was you wanted to be on the stage. You wanted to help people break free from the limiting beliefs. I think at the time, some of your ego was not even some of it, like a lot of your ego was coming into play about being on stage and being like such an integral part of people coming alive for their dreams, where in the last 5 years, 6 years since we planned that event, we see like our ego differently than we did.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Actually, and from my perspective, and tell me what you think about this, the way that I see this is that the original inspiration for Free the Dream conference was not so much ego-driven as much as it was an inspiration of an internal calling. However, during the marketing of that event, and then especially from the first event to the second event, I began to I actually was not aware of it until much further along the journey, but a significant amount of ego did get involved, and I began to tie a lot of my own desire for significance in the process. But it wasn't until after we had made the decision and already started planning in it, and it really started to take place during the marketing of Free the Dream.
That's fair. I'll take that. So
not to discredit what you were saying. It's just as an observation, since you brought that out, because ego and my own sense of significance and how I'm perceived by others was not a part of the inspiration, but it definitely.
I didn't mean to insinuate that.
I know you didn't.
It came into play as we were.
Yep.
I thought I said that anyway, but
I think you and I are on the same page. I just wanted to state for the record and clarify, because I think it's important. That was a very important very important distinction of why am I continuing to do this? Why is this so important? And what is it that I'm really going after? What is it that I want out of Free the Dream? And anyway, there was a powerful conversation I had with Michael Hyatt, and it became very clear that what I truly want might be more attainable, more sustainable in a completely different path other than hosting Free the Dream. And I'm like, but the only reason I would hold on to the original path was ego reasons. That it's like, but man, if I had a stadium full of people, that would, and it's like that significance level would be there. That people would really perceive me in a different way. And yeah, I became very much aware of that. And it's like, I'm not sure that feels good on me.
So I think it was like just asking me what I remember and how that all came about. I think it was after the Jeff Goins conference when you came home and we actually started planning. Like we sent an email to reach out to the production team. What would this look like financially to, I don't think you said duplicate, but basically like
almost duplicate.
Yeah.
Basically what I said is I want to know
the production value.
Yeah.
Like that is what you wanted to duplicate.
I wanted
the production value.
Exactly. I wanted to duplicate the amount of production value that went into the setup and the design of the stage. I wanted to duplicate the number of tables and the number of seats and the number of attendees. I wanted to duplicate the production staff of video and audio professionals. I wanted to duplicate a lot of the actual overall feel and setup and the vibe and the energy of this space. I want to actually create my own version of this, but with all of these elements. How much would it cost for me to do that?
And
that number was $60,000, by the way.
Right. So then it was Free the Dream was your conference. That's absolutely what it was. And then we got into the planning, and I'm helping make decisions every step of the way. And I don't even remember between the first email and the actual event when you asked me if I would be willing to play a part. And then in 2019, it was most definitely both of us.
Yeah. When you say play a part, what did that mean for you?
It meant being seen, like not just standing back and engaging with people and making connections, but actually speaking on stage. And speaking on stage really brought out this desire for people to work with me. And so then marketing's like, I didn't really market. I just created something because the audience wanted it. And that wasn't my, like, going into, like, drive. I think we drove separate both years. You went down before me.
Yep. I was at attending
both
events
times.
all the months leading up to it in marketing efforts.
Right. And so I think we have this giant whiteboard. Do you know the measurements of this whiteboard?
4 foot, 4 foot by 6 foot.
Okay. So this is a huge whiteboard.
It might be 4 foot by 8 foot.
Right? This is an absolutely ginormous whiteboard.
Yep.
And in the summer of 2019, our schedule was so busy that I took a ruler and I divided out this whiteboard into June, July, August, and September. And I wrote out our schedule, who was traveling where, what kid had, like, Matthew's graduation and, you know, his 18th birthday. And, like, all of these things were written out on this board for everyone to see because that summer was so busy. I think you traveled for like 3 weeks straight.
Oh, at least. I was gone for...
Because we went out and we bought you 21 pairs of socks. I think you were gone for 3 weeks straight.
Yeah, I was... Well, the 3 months before Free the Dream, I attended 8 or 9 conferences where I spoke.
Right. And you were on the road for the 3 weeks leading up to the second Free the Dream conference, and we met in Franklin each time. But so the first year in 2018, I'm driving down with the kids thinking, you know, this is Cliff's thing. And I'm going to get up on stage and I'll, you know, do my thing. And it's really out of character. It's so far out of my comfort zone. Not a big deal. Mark's going to come out and interview me for the second half. Like, I can totally make this last 20 minutes. And like, it really was, I'm driving to the event with a behind the scenes mindset. And that shifted very quickly and we accommodated, and then Free the Dream became our thing. But I don't think mentally I considered it our thing until that shift happened in the weekend, during the event.
Yeah. So one of the things that we've talked about in previous episodes of Building a Life and Business Together is the fact that prior to Free the Dream, we had worked together in the early days of content production. But as far as business income generating ideas and concepts and things of that nature, we had been for the 10 to 15 years leading up to Free the Dream, we had a situation where I'm doing coaching, consulting, and facilitation of masterminds and things like that, where you were playing more of that behind the scenes supporting role. Anyway, going back to the whole idea and concept of Free the Dream, I don't remember exactly the thought process of how the phrase Free the Dream for Free the Dream conference came out. But I do remember designing the logo and asking for you to come down and give me your thoughts and feedback on that. I think we used like 99 designs or something like that to get a professional logo done. One of the things that I love about the logo is the whole metaphor of a cage where the door is open. Mm-hmm. But the idea is that in many cases, people are inside a cage and they feel like there is a desire to break free from this environment and to soar high towards their dreams and to go out and experience the world out there outside of what is currently known. and yet they believe that they're stuck here. And in many cases, some people become aware that the door is open, that I could go out there, but it feels safer. It's much more known what's inside of the cage. And the idea is to help people who desire, not to instigate to people who want to stay in their comfort zone, and not that there's anything wrong with staying inside of there if that's what your decision is. But for those who truly have a heart to break free from the cage that they've been living in most of their lives, that wasn't designed for them, but was designed for others, and was communicated in a way that this is the safe space for you. But it wasn't by their design, it was by the design of others. If anybody who truly wanted to break free, how can you free that dream and go out and fly and make it on your own? And by on your own, it doesn't mean isolated from others. It just means on your own, from your own beliefs, your own decisions, your own vision, your own desires.
Right.
And what we ran into is a lot of people said, this is all amazing stuff. I just don't know what my dream is. That when I was doing a vlog a day every day, I was answering people's questions. I was having tons of conversations with people.
Well, then that's where the name came from.
Well, I don't remember because when I was marketing, we had already had the logo and the name of the conference and all the other stuff. I'm talking about is that
when you're marketing.
When I was marketing, people are like, it's like, I don't even know what my dream is, because I mean that's why they came up with that comment, is because so Cliff, you've got a conference called Free the Dream. I don't even know what my dream is. Why would I come to a conference to free my dream when I don't know what it is? And I'm like, well, this is why you need this conference. The first thing we're going to do is help you reestablish your ability to dream big dreams. Anyway, so that's a little bit of an overview of this concept of what you and I have been doing for several years, ever since Free the Dream 2018. We have had a significant amount of focus on what you and I are doing in this world to help people reconnect with the ability to dream big dreams and then to free that dream inside of them. And today, we want to share an exercise where 3 printed pages could radically alter your entire life from the day you fill those 3 pages out moving forward. And the exercise is called the 50 Things I Want exercise. Stephanie, tell me, what was your first experience and exposure to the 50 Things I Want exercise, and just an overview of its impact in your life since you were introduced to the idea?
I'm pretty sure 2018 Free the Dream was the first time that I was introduced to the exercise. And I didn't sit in on all of your sessions, so I did it either in the hotel or when we got home from Franklin was the first time. And I think the first time I only could come up with like 25. I like the first time I could only come up with 25. And it was a really interesting concept to sit down with no limitations, no thoughts of this is selfish, and just write, for me in that first time, 25 things that I want. If money, time, and fill in the blank were of no consequence, what are 25 things that I would want? And so I wrote those down. Some of them are still the same, even though when I redo my list, I never look at the old list. But then after I've written my new list, I will pull out the old list and I will compare. And so some of them, I guess, are like truly deeply rooted in me because they keep popping up again and again. And so I know that those are things that I absolutely want. and I'm either, actively going for them. Some I've accomplished already, or
Is there any one that you've accomplished that surprises you the most?
yes. One that has popped up consistently that I finally took action on. Let's see. I guess like a year and a half ago is laser hair removal.
I was going to, I knew that would be what you were going to say.
Yeah, this is something that I had wanted to do for eons. I despise leg hair. It drives me crazy. And the actual act of shaving more than half of my body it's just exhausting. And I didn't want to do it anymore. I absolutely hate it. And so I actually I bit the bullet, and I was like, I think I saw an ad on social media for like 60% off or something like that. I'm like, okay, I'm interested to know how much you cost if you're 60% off. I think actually that's not, I think it was, I don't remember what the first offer was when I did my underarms and my Brazilian, but then my legs were 60% off because I was already a customer. Is how it worked out. And so I set up this consultation just to go to see how much it actually costs if it's this much off. And we sat down and I was like, you know what? I think I can actually pull that off. Like, I really think that I can do. All of my kids are gone. It's something.
What does that mean, by the way? Because
out of the house.
I'm like, what? What's going on here?
All of my kids are raised and out of the house.
They're out adulting.
They're out doing their own thing. And maybe it's okay to reward myself with something that seems super selfish. To put all of this money into making, hair on certain parts of my body go away. But think about how much I'm saving on razors and shaving cream.
Oh, that's girl math now.
Over time. I mean, if I shaved my legs for the next 30 years.
I'm just kidding. That was funny.
Do you know how much I've wasted?
It's a meme. Can you explain what girl math is so people don't think I'm a chauvinist or anything?
Girl math. I don't even know how to explain. Girl math explained would be if I go out and I'm going to go out and I'm going to buy a new set of dishes that cost $100.
Okay.
Okay. And so I bring them home and I open them up. There's these beautiful holiday dishes. And I just threw holiday in because it would be like, something that you're only going to use once a time, one time. So these beautiful holiday dishes that I have, and I pull them out and we use them for Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. Well, and they cost $100, but I pull them out and we use them at Christmas. Well, now they cost what I can't even do $50. And if I use them again, like
eventually they start making me money.
Right. They're making me money because I'm using them and using them and using them.
Whereas,
that's girl math.
We could have saved $100 and used the dishes we already have, which is...
Where's the fun in that? I prefer girl math.
By the way, girl math is a meme, and I think it was something that was introduced to you and I from Megan. Megan's like,
oh,
have
absolutely.
you seen all this girl math stuff?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a little bit of a joke / meme, and that's why I threw that out there.
But my favorite is dog math.
Oh, and we won't even go there.
Yeah, we will. So if I have 15 balls and one ball rolls under the couch, I have 0 balls. And if you leave the house for 3 hours, you're gone for 3 hours. If you leave for 3 minutes, you're also gone for 3 hours. It's just
dog math.
They make me laugh. It is one social media thing that I will watch every time it rolls up in my feed because I enjoy it. It makes me laugh. Anyway, so that would be girl math.
Okay. So your personal story of using this exercise, one that really sticks out to you, one that shocks you the most, is writing down on the list of things that you want, laser hair removal. You noticed that it was on there multiple different times each time you did the exercise. I just have one question before we move on into this episode. And that is, when you wrote laser hair removal onto the page or the document the very first time, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely did you think it would happen within the time frame that it actually did happen?
0.
There you go. That's the important thing that I want to point out.
0. And for several reasons. Number one, I'm not, excuse me, by nature, I'm more likely to spend money on other people than myself. By nature, I'm more likely to buy myself small things than invest in one big thing.
Can I say something, and would you be upset with me if I suggest maybe that it's not by nature, but by programming or by conditioning?
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. I have been programmed to believe that this is my nature.
There you go.
So when I wrote it the first time, I'm actually certain it was probably pretty closer to like the 25 number. And it moved up and up and up the list because it's something that kept popping in my head. I think I'd have to look at my most recent list and find out where it is on the list. But it moved up in number each time I redid the list.
So we're going to get to the 50 things I want, but the key here, and now we're going to get into explaining the exercise, because this is an incredibly powerful exercise that could if you do it, will hands down, guaranteed, radically transform your experience of life. But the point that I want to emphasize is that when you wrote laser hair removal, your belief that it would happen within the time frame that it actually did happen, which, how many years was it? 2.5?
Well, I wrote it for the first time in 2018, and I started in 2023. So
okay, 19.
That's
20,
5.
Okay, 5 years. So your belief that this would happen within the next 5 years was 0 out of 10.
Absolutely.
And
let me tell you guys, yesterday I wore a dress for Thanksgiving and I didn't have to worry about shaving my legs.
There you go. All right, so let me jump in and explain this exercise. The way that I have given this to my clients, conference attendees, workshop attendees, anyone else that I have had conversations about dreaming dreams, setting goals and stuff like that, getting clarity about what you want. And by the way, it is so important that you have clarity about what you want to achieve, because you can't go and achieve anything that you don't even know what it is that you've decided that you desire. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of reasons why we don't get out of our cage, because we haven't set any destination outside of the cage to go after. Anyway, so when I give this, I actually created a 3-page PDF document. You do not need my document to be able to do this exercise. Quite frankly, all you're going to do is
need a pen and a paper.
You could do this in a Google Doc, a Word doc.
I prefer a pen and a paper.
You could do a pen and a paper. You could do a notepad. You could do this anywhere. However, I do recommend that if you have the ability with your own hands, with a writing instrument, to scrawl your desires onto a piece of paper, or even a dry erase marker onto a whiteboard, whatever this case may be, there is something incredibly powerful. We'll get into it in just a moment. But here's what I would recommend. Let's just assume that you're going to do a couple of sheets of, let's say, 8.5 by 11 regular letter size paper, US style. All right. And imagine my PDF document is just that. And basically on page 1, it's just labeled 50 things I want. And then on the left-hand column, you're going to do 1 through 25 all the way down the left-hand side, with 1 and then the number 2 underneath it all the way down the left-hand side of the page. And then On the second page of paper, it's basically the 50 things I want continued. And on the left-hand column, you're going to write 26 through 50. All right. Now you should have, if it's college ruled or wide ruled papers, you should have 50 lines next to numbers. All right. Then on the third page, you are going to have two different sections. At the very top of the page, you're going to put my top 10 dreams. All right. And then on the left, you're going to write 1 through 10. And underneath that section, you're going to write in bold print, my top 3 goals. And then to the left below that is you're going to, in the column 1, and then 2 underneath it, and 3 underneath it. So that's the outline of this document. You obviously don't need my PDF to do this. However, if you would like my PDF, I would encourage you to email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com, and put 50 things PDF in the subject line. I will personally email you my PDF document so that you can see what it looks like. And it also has some reminders of some of the instructions that I'm about ready to give you. So the first thing to do, and it's absolutely essential, I'm going to read this right off my PDF document. It says, this exercise takes the average person 2 full hours to complete. Ask yourself the question, what do I want? Do not allow yourself to use any filters. Don't ask, is this selfish? Is this possible? What would other people think if they saw that I had this on a list called What Do I Want? Simply write every item that comes to your mind until you have 50 items. Now, one thing that I want to suggest is that this list is in no means in any prioritization. You may get to line number 32 and write down something that comes to your mind that obviously you think is a much higher priority than the 31 items that came before it. That's okay, because this list of 50 things is in no order as far as priority in your mind, in your heart, in your life. All right? So don't even think about rearranging these and numbering them and all that other stuff in the list of 50 things. Now, Stephanie talked about just a moment ago that there was a time where she's noticing that the laser hair removal's getting higher and higher up the list. And that's just because when she did the exercise again, she's like, this is becoming more and more real, and it's becoming a bigger and bigger desire. And so it's one of the more, it's bubbling to the surface faster than I would have allowed it to surface before. That's all it means.
Right.
Doesn't necessarily mean that it's a higher priority than things below it.
Yes, because when I decided to move ahead in early, I think it was in May of 2023 that I started. So when I decided to move ahead with laser hair removal, it had never made it into my top 10, and it had never made it to my top 3 goals.
Yep. And that's where we start to get into some prioritization. Mm-hmm. All right. However, when we get into my top 10 dreams, this is what I've got written on the PDF document. We're now on page 3 of 3 in the PDF document. It says, now that you have your list of 50 things you want, it's time to make a list of your top 10 dreams. It is not important that this list be in any order. Simply go through your list of 50 things to choose 10 items that should be on this list. So the way that I describe this in person with people is go through your list of 50 things and ask yourself, should this be on my top 10 dreams? If the answer is yes to that, then fill in the first blank for number 1. Go through and do that until you got 10 items. Now, the thing is, though, is if you find that it's like all of these should be, well, then you really do want to start crossing some out and putting some things on there. Here, most people don't struggle with that so much as to what do I do if all of a sudden I'm in this spot, I'm going through my list, and immediately something comes to my mind that I know should be on my top 10 dreams, but didn't initially make it to the 50 things I want list. Here's what you do in that scenario. If you're at in this part of the exercise, you immediately put that new item as one of your top 10 dreams. And then go to your list and write number 51 and write your 51st item. And if you end up with, 55 or 57 items, it's perfectly fine. Yep. Most people are going to struggle to come up with 50, but the first time going around, that's how you handle it. But what you'll have is your top 10 dreams. But again, I just want to emphasize, in no way is it important or essential in any means to have these 10 items be in any specific prioritization order.
Right.
That all changes in the bottom section of page 3, my top 3 goals. Here's what I wrote in the PDF. Now it is time to choose your top 3 goals. This list will be in order of priority. Simply look at your list of 10 dreams listed above and put the most important item in position number 1. Then, from the 9 remaining items, ask yourself what's the most important thing out of the remaining 9. Put that in position number 2. And then from the remaining 7 items, ask yourself what's most important and put that in number 3. Now you actually have your number 1 goal, your number 2 goal, and your number 3 goal. If you do this exercise and never look at it again, it will radically transform your life. The thing is the number of people I've given this exercise to who actually don't do the exercise blows my mind. Because I've done a lot of complimentary coaching. I've done a lot of just free workshops for people, and I tell them about this exercise. And the number of people who just don't do this, it boggles my mind, because if they did it, they would be introduced to the magic of writing things down.
Yeah, I don't look at my list regularly. I don't know if I have actually taken a moment to look at I think my current list only has like 36 or 37 items on it. And I would guess that I wrote it at the end of last year or the beginning of this year, sometime when I was sitting down to make my goals for the year. It's glued into the back of my planner because obviously I said I like pen and paper. So it's glued into the back of my planner, but I don't know that I've looked at it but maybe once all year.
Right. But you probably took your top 3 goals and have been evaluating those throughout the year. And that is what we're going to do, is we're going to take our top 3 goals and we're going to immediately create a plan with our top goal. Of course, that's not part of this exercise. All we're talking about here is the power of actually completing the 50 things I want exercise, which ends, the exercise itself completely ends when you now have clarity about what your number 1, your number 2, and your number 3 goals are currently in life.
Yes.
And having that clarity alone will transform your life. And if you took the time to write them down, magical things are going to happen. And when I say magical, I mean magical. So let me read this to you. It says here, this is from a study that Dr. Gail Matthews did. She's a psychology professor at the Dominican University in California. The overall research found that you are 42% more likely to achieve your goals simply by writing them down. If you did nothing more than write these 50 things on this list, you're 42% more likely to have those things just show up in your life. That's a statistical, proven, researched data. Here's what she said about it, by the way. She said the right hemisphere of the brain is our imaginative side. The left hemisphere of the brain is our literal side. If you only think about your goal, you are only engaging the right hemisphere. But if you both think about and write it down, you also tap into the power of your logic-based left hemisphere. The electrical signals that communicate between the left and right hemisphere travels through a bundle of nerve fibers called the corpus callosum. These signals then move into the fluid that surrounds the brain and travels up and down the spinal column. These signals communicate with every fiber, every cell, and bone in our body to the consciousness that operates within us to transform our thoughts into reality. And if this sounds too woo-woo for you, and by the way, the Merriam-Webster definition of woo-woo is dubiously or outlandishly mystical, supernatural, or unscientific. If that sounds too woo-woo for you, just understand it has been scientifically researched and proven that if you simply write something down, it's 42% more likely to show up for you. Mm-hmm. Now, that's the research. How writing activates also your reticular activating system. So this is the one thing that is a part of this that it wasn't mentioned in the research, but we have all heard about the RAS, the reticular activating system. Stephanie, can you describe to people from your perspective what the RAS is when you, like the red Lexus or whatever? Because you actually
not red, but on my list, on my list of 50 things that I want is a Lexus RX 450h. Now, I need to test drive this or it's going to become my Toyota Highlander all over again.
That's a story.
Episode 1.
Back in episode 1.
But
building a life and business together, not the Cliff Raymond Scrap Show.
How far back is episode 1 of the Cliff Ravenscraft Show?
We're on. I think this will be episode 739.
Yeah, that's good luck. So, but on episode 1 of Building a Life and Business Together, because in my brain that's the only episode I'm recording right now.
Actually, 749.
You didn't hear me.
I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
I said in my mind, Building a Life and Business Together is the only episode I'm recording right now.
Fair enough.
So. But on my list is a Lexus RX 450h. And it's been on my list for several years. I don't even know. Like, I think that's when I got into the, what if I don't care what other people say about, what I have. That's not true because that's how I live my life. I don't really think about what other people are going to say about me when I make my decisions of what I want. And that's just how I live. So I think it was more of a what is possible. Am I okay, driving a luxury car? And being okay, meaning myself, is a luxury car somewhere that I want luxury in my life. You know what I mean? So I think that's how that ended up on my list, thinking about what's possible. And
how does that relate to the RAS?
And so that relates to that is that now I see Lexus every time I'm on the road. That little L in the circle. And
it's funny because if you were to ask me how many Lexuses have I seen on the road in the last 12 months, I will tell you that I could not tell you one time I've seen a Lexus on the road in 12 months.
Right. And so more popular on the road that I see is a Lexus RX 350. Mm-hmm. Okay. And just for fun reasons, what if it's possible? One of the other things on my list is to win the lottery. So it's so random that I actually see a 450h that when I do, I'll be like, oh, time to play the lottery. It's like, oh, that's my sign. I'm that's all a joke. That's all, the way that my mind has fun with myself. But so that's how the RAS works for
right. So basically what you're doing, when
you bought your 74 Beetle, then I saw old Beetles all the time, so.
Yeah. So how our brain works is we are confronted with data in the form of smells, physical feelings, colors, sights, sounds, shapes, vibrations that are formed, into what we have associated with words. We are confronted with data in such a full force that there's no way that we could actually comprehend it all. So our brain is designed to serve us by deleting, distorting, or generalizing the data that's coming in. So most of the data that's coming in, I'm absolutely certain I probably passed 3 Lexuses on the way home from the gym today.
Probably.
But my brain deleted all of that data because it saw it as not relevant, because that's not on my radar as to something I'm looking out for. Whereas, I'm currently very heavily involved in a passion for amateur radio. And I can tell you how many cars I passed that actually have amateur radio antennas on their car.
I can tell you where the real antennas are.
I can tell you where all the antennas are in the heel.
And will, if you're in the car with him.
Exactly.
Whether you ask for it or not.
So that's the whole thing. So when you're writing something down, you are actually saying to your subconscious mind, you're saying to your brain, this item or this thing is important to me. And your brain says, okay, anytime there's anything even remotely related to that item, I will no longer delete it. I will no longer distort that information, and I will not generalize it away as, oh, that's just a car. No, I will bring it to the forefront. That is a Lexus 450h.
RX 450.
There you go. So RX 4. So that's one of the things that's happening when you are writing things down. All right. Now, there are some common challenges that you should be aware of if you are when you do this exercise. I had to correct myself there. Most people, I would say about 85 to 90% of the people that I give this exercise to, if they were to schedule 2 hours completely blocked out to do this exercise, to do the 50 things, the top 10 dreams, and your top 3 goals, about 85% cannot even come up with 50 things.
I've been doing it for years, and I don't know that I've ever hit 50 things.
Well, there's nothing wrong with stopping wherever you stop. I'm not going to make any judgment there. I would encourage you the next time to contemplate whether or not there would be value for you to actually stretch yourself to come up with 50 things.
No, I understand that. I think that it's like, oh, I have 36, and because my current list is 36 or 37. And so I'm like, I'll come back and think of, some more, 23 more later. And I never come back to it. Also, I have a very content life. Like I'm very happy and content in my surroundings. I hated shaving my legs, and I made that happen. I took that out, and I made laser hair removal work. And it's been fantastic.
Well, you're bringing up another challenge that comes with this. It's like, wait a second, I'm looking for more peace and contentment in life. And Cliff, it seems to me, not you're saying this, but some people have said, it seems to me like this exercise instigates me wanting to feel like there's something more I should have that I don't. And you can perceive this exercise however you want to perceive it. You can choose to do the exercise or not do it. It's not important to me. I'm just sharing that there's some incredible power for things here. And so one of the things that I do for people who are really struggling, like, for example, I'm like, well, go ahead and read to me. So you've got 13 things on your item and you're stuck. All right. And so they'll read to me, I want to travel more. All right. So let me ask, and so I said, okay, name 3 places that you would love to travel to that you've never been before. And instantly they come up with 3 different places. All right. And I'm like, okay, so
write those down individually.
So they said France. And I'm like, great. Before you write that down, where in France would you like to stay? And what would you like to experience when you're in France? Create a little bit of a picture. And so now, instead of travel being one item of your 13, that actually could, instead of writing down, I want to travel more, it could have, you could literally have 13 places in which you desire to travel.
Yes, because I think mine are on there separately. Like I know that going to Greece is on my list. And so like I don't just have travel. I want to visit Greece. I have not broken that down. I might do that this time.
Yeah.
I'll break that down and what that looks like and what that means.
And then other things, like I want, okay, so now I know where I want to go in Greece. I know, the idea of I want to stay on a waterside property that reminds me of the place like Mamma Mia and stuff like that. It's like, okay, great. That's all wonderful. Right. Go ahead and write that
it
down.
All down. Yeah.
But then write down an experience that you'd like to have when you're there. Mm-hmm. What kind of an excursion or a tour? Oh, I'd love, I'm going to be so close.
Sedona is on my list. And so we've done that. That's not on my...
Yeah.
That won't be on my new list.
I know what will be.
Yeah, buying a house in Sedona.
And buying a house in Sedona. Grand Canyon rim.
I do want to walk the rim of the Grand Canyon, and I want to take an Alaskan cruise.
Yeah, see?
So like those will be going on my list. When I sit down and do it, I will probably take 2 hours next week and go to the library just so I can be uninterrupted. And
yeah. So you're getting into some of the.
You didn't tell me I couldn't jump ahead.
That you can jump ahead as much as you want, but speaking of the challenge though, another thing that say the whole idea is like I'm content. Yeah, you can be completely content. You can be satisfied with your life. My question is there any desire that you have to contribute to others in a profound way? Is that something that's a part of your content lifestyle? Yes. Great. If is there any particular marginalized group of people who could benefit from your contribution in any way? Who would those people be? Not that you have to, when you write these things down, you're not committing yourself to actually taking any action on any of this stuff. You're just saying, is there any part of me in here that desires? And so what we're looking at is reestablishing your ability to take the time that you have on this earth to experience life and to create experiences. Some people think it's like, oh, things that I want. It's all of these material things. And there's, by the way, you can have as many material things on your list as you desire.
No, can I say it actually how it's written on my list, or do I need to?
You can say whatever you want.
Or do I need to filter?
Oh, filter, please.
Okay. So one of the things on my list is be a kick butt Gigi. Gigi is the name that we chose as my grandma name when Megan and Jacob got their dog. And this dog does know me as Gigi. Like it is. And so that's not material. That's not a material thing. But I know
this is how I want to be. This is how I want
to show up in their life. This is how I want to be. And that's one that ends up on the list all the time.
So to give you some examples, here's some things that I want. I want to remain consistent with an early morning routine, waking up at 5:30 each morning. I want to journal and have a practice of gratitude on a consistent, ongoing basis. I want to read more, both for enjoyment and personal growth and development. And specifically, at least one, for me personally, I don't want to do one book a day or one book a week or 12 books a year or 100 books a year. Instead, I would like to average at least 30 minutes a day of reading. Mm-hmm. So these items don't have to be all those are things that I want. And things could be material things, but they could also be experiences. They could be emotional states. They could be, if you could just expand your mind of is there any aspect of life for something that you desire that's not currently a part of it? Not necessarily that you're not going to be happy unless you have it. It's just that if you had it, would it be of value? Would you actually desire to have it as part of your experience while you're walking on this planet? And if you could free yourself to open up and explore some, and what this exercise is doing is it slowly starts to dissolve some of the self-judgment that we have on what we desire. One of the things that I've noticed, do you remember when, I think it was Megan who graduated, or Megan or McKenna, one of the two, they had a graduation ceremony from the elementary school that our kids attended. Do you remember going to a graduation ceremony where it's like, listen, you're done with elementary school, you're going up to the middle school now?
Well, you weren't at Megan's, and McKenna's happened at Odyssey of the Mind, so you got to be thinking about Matthew.
So it must have been Matthew.
But they all three had one.
Okay, so I remember going to one of them, and there was this question that every student was asked: what do you want to be when you grow up? And as a child, in our culture, at least where I grew up, it was very common to tell children an overall theme: you could be anything you want when you grow up. Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget that there were at least 2 or 3 girls in that elementary school who was getting ready to graduate up into middle school who actually said, I want to be a mermaid.
Okay, you're thinking about preschool.
Okay.
And then they were 4.
Okay. Then
not going into middle school. But yes, they wanted to, yes. I am picking up where exactly what moment in our life you are referring to.
My details are fun, a little fuzzy. It's been a couple of decades ago.
There were several that wanted to be a mermaid.
A mermaid. And everybody applauded. Mm-hmm. All right. Now, what do you think if they did let's just say you're in a smaller school, not the one that you and I went to high school in, because we had thousands of students in our school. But let's just say you've got a high school, and that high school has 60 students that graduate. Mm-hmm. All right. And every person is given the opportunity when receiving their diploma, what do you want to be when after you graduate? What do you think the response would be if any one of them said, I want to be a mermaid?
Probably laughter.
Laughter, embarrassment, judgment. You know, it's like, yeah. But you want to know something? There are people in this world, their occupation, how they make a living, mermaid. Who says you can't? And I'm not even joking about that. Go Google. Well, maybe be careful what you Google, but but I promise you, there are people who there are women who actually put on a body suit and they actually play the role of a mermaid. So the entertainers, who says you can't be what you want to be? And what happens is it's an exaggerated example of how we were once told we could dream big dreams, we could be anything, we could have anything, do anything, all of this stuff. However, by the time we get into high school and college, and then certainly when we are in life, in adult life, it's time to get responsible. It's time to get serious. It's time to, face reality. These are the phrases that come up. And this is why so many people struggle with this exercise. And what this exercise is designed to do is to tap into that creative side of who you are and to find out, what are your true dreams? What are the things that you want to experience in this world? And if you don't get clarity about what you want, You may find too much of your life going through decade after decade after decade of your life on this planet, only to realize at the end that a majority of the things that you did were things that other people wanted for you.
Yes. I think I touched on that. That's how I lived my life prior to 2012. And I talked about that a little bit in last week's episode.
Yeah. So let's talk about some implementation exercise or ideas, and because I'm imagining that some people are like, "Oh my gosh, I am definitely doing this 50 things I want exercise." So first and foremost, the best time to do the exercise. Do you have any thoughts? Because I have thoughts, but I just wanted to touch base with you.
I don't know if I have any thoughts on the best time.
Okay. So for me, what I'm going to say is the best time to do this exercise was about 20 years ago. The second best time
is right now.
So
that's cheesy, Cliff.
Okay. You can say it's as cheesy as you want. But I will tell you right now, if you would have done this exercise 20 years ago and came up with 50 things that you want, I would say that at least 5 to 10, maybe even 15 of those things would be a part of your life today. So
probably, but then there's the also have appreciation for where you are right now. 20 years ago, I didn't know what I didn't know.
I agree. The whole thing is the best. What I'm getting at
is don't make people regret what they didn't do over the last 20 years. I'm not trying
to do that. Yeah. What I'm trying to do is emphasize.
Celebrate what you can accomplish in the next 20 years by sitting down to do this list right now.
Or even the next 20 days. It can be crazy. But anyway, what I'm really trying to emphasize is not what you didn't do 20 years ago. I didn't do this exercise 20 years ago. What I'm trying to emphasize is the best time to do this is within the next 20 days. And ideally, within the next 20 hours, if you can. But certainly within the next, essentially, I'm getting the best time to start this, the first time to do it, is right now.
Right now.
Effectively, right now. And certainly within the next week or so, definitely. And I do recommend that you schedule at least 2 hours. Mm-hmm. You mentioned going to the library. What is it about leaving this house and going to the library that you think that will afford you in your exploration of this exercise when you go to do it again?
This house is full of distractions.
Tell me more.
The dishes need to be done.
Okay.
Yesterday was Thanksgiving and the food was put away, but the dishes we ate off of are clean, but the dishes that housed the food in the meantime, not done yet. They'll probably get done sometime after work today.
Other projects?
So, other projects I want to do. We've established several times in the life of building a life and business. My dog is a major distraction for me. Mm-hmm. I will often can be found sitting, in the kitchen reading, in the living room reading, at my desk working, and I will hear a door open, and then I hear, "Stephanie!" Because people just shout for me all the time.
People being me?
And, well, you're the only one in this house who calls me Stephanie, so fair. And all of those distractions can...
And there's also
and break up my group.
There are routine behavioral patterns. When I sit in this chair, in this room...
I do this.
I typically hypnotically do this thing on rinse and repeat.
Yes.
And when I sit down to do this new exercise, that's not something that's a part of my routine, I feel some sort of internal draw that I should be doing something else right here, right now. Whereas if you go into another environment, you don't have that same draw. I
can take all of those distractions away. I can put my phone on Do Not Disturb. Or actually, that's not true. I don't put my phone on Do Not Disturb. I simply send a text message to my family and let them know I'm unavailable.
Gotcha.
And my phone is set to personal, so there's only a select few people who can get through. And so I getting out of my environment and getting away from all of those distractions and getting a clean focus helps me. Plus, I can go get a fancy drink and
there you go,
and enjoy some Me planning time.
Me time. I love it. So basically there's the creating the right environment. And then the next thing that I would do is not only the implementation of the exercise for your first time through, but I would also encourage you to consider how many times this exercise could benefit you moving forward. Mm-hmm. So for me, I know that I do the 50 things I want at the bare minimum once a year, every year. Mm-hmm. And we're getting ready to do this exercise. I started mine this morning. It's November 29th. Go ahead.
I'm waiting on my new planner.
You're waiting on your new planner. And I think at the end of the year is a perfect time to kind of get clear about what my top 10 dreams are and my top 3 goals and have a little bit of a vision for the year and years ahead. And this exercise definitely is incredibly valuable. What I find is I don't always do this semi-annually or quarterly, but I think those are also wonderful times.
I do think that we do this semi-annually because for as far back as I can remember, we have sat down on our anniversary, which is in August, and talked about goals.
Yeah. We have always done that in our anniversaries, not necessarily...
And that's long before with this list.
Yeah, with the actual exercise the way that it is. It's just kind of like we randomly selected, what are 5 to 8 things that we have as goals.
What do we want to accomplish between this August and next August?
That's better than nothing.
And so we've been doing that as far back as I can remember. I think the first time, maybe the second time we did, the 50 goals. We do them separately. This is my 50 goals. 36. These are mine, and he does his. But then come together and match up if any of them are the same. And I think that that's fun. Well,
I think I didn't tell you this, but I was going to recommend that next week you and I go through our list of 50 things together, and
our new ones that
we're getting ready to make. So we have a goal to get it done by next week. Will your planner be here by then?
I don't know. I haven't gotten a
But you said you'll paste it in anyway, right?
I will paste it in anyway, yeah. So I can start without it.
Okay. So anyway, my recommendation is to potentially plan to do this often, especially if you start to see the benefits. I promise you this, if you do the entire 50 items that you want, and then you have a list of the top 10 dreams, and you have a list of the top 3 goals, and you never do anything more beyond writing all of that out, just give it a year or two and watch what happens. All right? Now, chances are you're going to see results even faster. And if you do more than that, such as create what we call an action plan towards your goals, then you can make your dreams become a reality. That was what Free the Dream Conference was all about. And in fact, I should say that we have a Free the Dream online course. Originally, we sold the online course version for $497. I then dropped the price down to $197. It's still the actual price of the course today. However, I often offer that course for free for those who take initiative on things that they desire.
I started my list.
Awesome. And I want to let you know that if you email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com, not only will I share with you the PDF document so that you can immediately get started on this 50 Things I Want list, if you request it and say, Cliff, I would like free access to the Free the Dream online course, I will also grant you free access to the 8 video sessions that are a part of the Free the Dream course that will not only talk to you about your belief system, how to change your limiting beliefs into empowering beliefs, how to control your emotional state, how to understand why you do the things you do, and how to actually get clarity on what you want, which is the part of the 53 Things That I Want exercise, and then how to take any of those things that are on your list that you want and a step-by-step process on how to turn any goal any dream into reality. All of that is available in the Free the Dream online course. You can get it for free if you email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com, and request that. All right. Real quickly, I want to tell you some success stories. Stephanie, first, share some success stories of things. You've already talked about your laser hair removal. Are there any others that come to mind that you didn't actually create an action plan for?
I just put them on the list and did them.
Yeah.
So there are some of those. Renovating our closet.
Okay.
I despise the coated wire racks the way that they were in our closet. It just wasn't a good use of the space because it's a big space and it wasn't using it properly. And I wanted to renovate our closet, put that on the list. We did that in 2020 together. Like we went up.
It was a project.
Yeah, it was a project. We did that together and I still have too many clothes, but it's but it houses them all. So now the problem is me. My laser hair removal. I'm paying for Megan's college tuition, paying for Megan's wedding. These are both things that were on my list that did end up being an action plan. And the wedding action plan, we actually had to deviate from and pivot in the middle and find out a new way to make that happen. But those were on my list.
But the wedding went down, and it was a massive success.
When one of my life goals is to always offer my children to treat them equally, to offer them the same thing. So, we paid for Megan's education, we paid for Matthew and McKenna's education. We paid for Megan's wedding, pay for McKenna's wedding. Like this was my blueprint of the world. I said that.
Which differs from somebody else's.
I said that they were mine. I owned them. And so, we were able to offer Megan a car when she started driving. And when it came time for Matthew to drive, we then provided him with a car and so on. Like buying Jane a car when she started driving was on my list. That was something that we planned for and made happen. What else have I done for this is something that I learned earlier, actually at the end of last year, that a lot of the items on my list were for other people. And so going into my new list, I have to really focus on myself. But what are some other things? I can't think of
that's
anything
enough
right now.
So I will say that the number of things that have become reality simply because I wrote them down and never turned them into an action item is just absolutely off the chart. It's like I did not implement a goal strategy, like for action plan of strategy to make this happen. So one thing, I had a conversation with a friend about a dream of having a classic 1974 Volkswagen Beetle. And I'm like, and so I journaled about that conversation. What did I do? I wrote about it. Okay. Next thing I know, I get a call. I get a box that's delivered to the front door of my doorstep, and inside of it is a little miniature die-cast classic Volkswagen Beetle. The little bonnet in the front opens up, the doors swing open, and inside looks like the classic Beetle. And it happens to be the exact year that I had mentioned that I would be interested in. And inside it is a handwritten card from a client who had just paid $7,500 to spend one day with me. And he says, "Hey, Cliff, thank you so much for investing in helping make my dream become a reality. I wanted to share this with you in hopes that it will contribute towards your dream becoming a reality." And I opened it up and it was this car. So I set that car on my desk in front of me. And I play with it, open the little hood, look inside. I actually feel myself visually and tactile smells remembering what it's like to sit in the front seat of one of these classic Beetles. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I don't know what it was, but just one day I looked down at that car and I'm sitting there. I'm like, I wonder if any of these are available. And I did a search on Facebook Marketplace, and lo and behold, there was this 1974 classic Volkswagen Beetle, and the price was right around what I actually just got paid for one day of coaching. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And not only that, but it was beyond what I was dreaming. It was in pristine condition, only I think 2,200 miles on it, original miles. It was in Texas and owned by somebody there that turned it into a show car. And I'm like, this is way too good to be true. Mm-hmm. And I said, Stephanie, how much do you love me? And you're like, what do you want?
But that's usually how I have to answer that question.
Yep. And I showed her the listing, and I went to the gym and I asked some questions of the car dealer, and they said, come out and take it for a test drive. My dad and I went over to test drive it. It started up immediately, drove perfectly, and I drove it home that night. This was just weeks after journaling about it.
Right.
That wasn't in my plan. And it's just one example. So I told that story at Free the Dream 2018. So Daryl Darnell is in his list of things, and inspired by my thing, he actually wrote down this classic, I don't know what the car was, if it was MG or something like that, but it's this classic car. And he wrote it down, and he actually went to Amazon and sent himself a die-cast car that would be delivered for when he got home, and he put it on his desk. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what he actually ended up owning before Free the Dream 2019?
That car.
That exact car.
Didn't he drive it to Free the Dream 19?
I don't know if he drove it to
maybe not, because it was...
But he owned it, and he got it, and it's like that's something he didn't even think of until that exercise. And the number of people, and I'm talking in the hundreds, that say things like, Cliff, oh my gosh, I was just looking at my very first time I ever did the 50 things I want list. 30 of them are already a reality in my life. Mm-hmm. And I would have never even imagined it before doing that exercise. That's the power of reconnecting to your ability to dream. And if you are married, I encourage you to do what Stephanie and I have done multiple times, where you go do this on your own, and your spouse goes and does it on their own, and then come together and share your list of 50 things and your list of 10 things and your top 3 things. And you could dialogue about, why is that important to you? What does that mean to you? What is, and all this other stuff. And as you're going through, and every time your spouse says something that's on your list, circle it so you know what you have in common. And then when you're reading your list, your spouse will circle the things that are there. And then at the end, evaluate, what are the things that we dream about together? And that's why this episode is titled A Couple That Dreams Together Grows Together.
It's very important to dream together, but I and this is what we learned from Jim way back when you mentioned him in the beginning of the episode, is the why. Otherwise, it's just, some of mine are just dollar signs to you unless I explain my why. Mm-hmm. And vice versa. I mean, you've had plenty of dreams that came with dollar signs as well, but they're not all material, and some of them are like ways to get support in your growth, or whatever.
And the number of things that we're like, okay, let's both move this higher up on our list of priorities, and let's make this a project that we work towards together.
Right.
And that's what I love. It's been an amazing journey. 50 Things I Want exercise. I have the PDF download of the 3 pages if you'd like it. Obviously, we've given you the exercise. You could go and do it on your own in any form that you want. I do encourage you to handwrite it if you have the ability to do handwriting. I also am more than delighted, if you're interested, to get Free the Dream Conference or the online course for free if you just email me, cliff@cliffravenscraft.com. Stephanie, this has been amazing. Tell people where or why they should subscribe to the Building a Life and Business Together podcast if they're only listening to the Cliff Ravenscraft show.
Okay. If you are an entrepreneur and there is, what's the right word? A misalignment
Okay.
between you and your spouse on the vision of the business, we talk about that. We talk about how we navigate that. If you just like to listen to people who've been married a really, really long time, bicker back and forth, this might be a show you would like.
For pure entertainment purposes alone.
Pure entertainment.
After every episode, you can ask yourself the question, how is it that Cliff and Stephanie have been married for nearly 3 decades if this is how they communicate with one another?
Which is funny because a lot of that is for entertainment purposes. I feel like I feel like we actually communicate really well.
I think we do
in our real life. Those are some really big quotes there because we've already said we are our business is us. So this is real life, meaning we bicker all the time.
Yeah, what you hear in the episode.
This is how we are. This is who we are.
This is how we are in the car, at dinner table, out on date nights.
If
sometimes.
You're an entrepreneur and you want to work on a shared vision with your, not an alignment, but like a shared vision, and you would like to listen with your spouse, and then you can talk about, you can create dialogue together about the topics that we're covering. That would be another.
Yeah.
Those are the 3 I got.
Those are great reasons. And you can subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcast directory. It's titled Building a Life and Business Together. And if you want, you could just go to your Safari browser, Chrome browser, or whatever browser you use and type in Building a Life and Business Together.com. And until next time, Stephanie and I encourage you to
build your life and business together.
Mindset and